This is why you should never answer a call from your own number. Tim was woken up by his phone constantly ringing, but he ignored it and went back to sleep. That day he went to work, pulled out his phone, and saw that he had a missed call from his own number. He thought this must be a coincidence. He went to hang out with his friend and another call came. This time he picked up and heard his own voice repeating whatever he'd say back to him until he was about to hang up. The voice said, "You're going downhill." He felt very uneasy but tried to let it go. The next morning at work, his number called again, but this time he felt terrified. So he made up an excuse and drove home as fast as he could. He knew deep inside some kind of a confrontation was coming. As soon as he got home, he saw his car pull into the driveway, and he saw himself get out of the car with a terrifying smile on his face. His doppelganger had stalked him and found him. Tim barricaded himself in his bedroom, but his doppelganger was banging on the door. He knew he was almost out of time. That's when he had one last idea. He pulled out his phone and called himself, and he heard his own voice reply, "How are you calling me from this number? Who are you?" This is why you should never deliver a letter in person. Once a woman was living in Berlin after World War II. Supplies were tight, money was short, and everyone was hungry. But one day the woman was walking through a crowd when she accidentally bumped into a blind man. They started to talk. The man eventually asked her for a favor, to deliver a letter for him to an address written on the envelope. She agreed. She was about to go deliver this letter when she turned around and saw the blind man running away without his cane. She felt suspicious of this behavior, so she went to the police. The police then decided to visit the address written on the envelope to see if they could find anything. Then they made a shocking discovery. They ended up arresting 3 butchers who had been harvesting human flesh and selling it to the starving people. Then they opened up the envelope to see what was written inside, and it only said one line: "This is the last one I'm sending you today." Do you know someone who wants to be around you all the time? For one newly married couple, this quickly turned into something more terrifying. So this couple got married and moved into their new house together. Soon the husband noticed that his wife became more attached to him than usual, as in she wouldn't be able to spend one moment away from him. She said, "When you're not at home, I still feel you near me. I hear you calling my name." He just thought that she was being sweet, but the truth is not so simple. One day after he got back from work, his wife said, "I think there's something wrong with me. You walked from the kitchen to the bedroom and was staring out the window all day." But the husband knew that he was at work all day. Over the next few days, she started acting even weirder, until one night she was next to her husband and said, "You're not here. You're there. You're in the kitchen." Then they both heard a noise. The husband walked into the kitchen to investigate, and he saw himself standing there with a blank, lifeless expression on his face. This man, or whoever it was, walked out of the kitchen and disappeared into the hallway. And as the husband went back into his bedroom to get his wife, he heard someone's voice coming from behind him. It was his wife's voice, only it wasn't, and it whispered into his ear, "We are here to stay forever." This is why when something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Once a newly married couple was searching for houses they could buy, and they came across a beautiful house with a suspiciously cheap price. They couldn't see anything wrong with the house, so they just thought they got lucky. They moved in quickly. But one day the husband was walking down the hallway when he found a red crayon on the floor. He thought maybe the previous residents had left it behind, so he just threw it out. The next day he found another red crayon lying in the exact same place. This time he asked his wife about it. His wife looked shocked. She confessed that every day since they've moved in, she's been finding red crayons in the hallway too. Then the husband tried to tap on the wall at the end of the hallway and heard a hollow sound. He began peeling off the wallpaper and found a sliding door behind it. It was as if someone had tried everything they could to keep anyone from finding this door. He tried to open it, but the door was nailed shut. Then he took a hammer and pried off the nails one by one. He opened the door to find a small room with words scribbled in red crayon all over the walls. It said, "Mommy, I'm sorry, let me out," over and over. How far would you go to make a wish come true? For one boy, his wish would cause him to do the unthinkable. At first, this boy had a normal life. He lived with his parents in a small town, and every time he lost a tooth, his parents would tell him about the tooth fairy. They said that he could bury his tooth and make a wish, and that wish would come true. Until one day, a tragedy that would change his life forever happened. His parents were in a car crash, and he was the only one who made it out. By this time, he had no more teeth left to give to the tooth fairy. So this boy went into his father's tool shed, took a hammer, and knocked out all of his teeth one by one. He was sent to a mental hospital after that, but after a few years was released. It seems like everyone in town had forgotten about the tragedy of his family until a series of home invasions were reported.